everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley, and today we're going to be discussing heirs property, the hidden threat that's costing families their homes and their wealth. When property is passed down without the right legal protections, it can fall into legal limbo, leading to family disputes, forced sales, or even other losses due to predatory investors. Far too many families lose what should have been their legacy simply because they didn't have a plan in place. So if you want to protect your family's future, join us for this probate real estate series where we'll be breaking all of this down. Now let's get into this. Now, what is heirs property? Heirs property is land or a home or real estate that's passed down through a family without a clear legal title. Now, usually this happens when a homeowner passes away and they didn't have a proper estate plan in place, meaning they didn't take the necessary steps to ensure a smooth transfer of ownership after their death. Now, when this happens, the property doesn't automatically transfer to one person, and it definitely doesn't transfer to the person that the now deceased homeowner liked the most. It actually becomes jointly owned by all legal heirs. These heirs are determined based on the state's intestacy laws. Now, we'll break intestacy laws down in a separate video, but ultimately what this means is that the courts determine who the legal heirs are. So this could be children, this could be grandchildren, this could be siblings, this could be a distant relative, and yes, even that distant relative who the deceased person didn't like, didn't talk to, and didn't want to inherit from their estate. These legal heirs, or who the courts determine these legal heirs are, can very well inherit from your estate if you don't have your affairs in order, even if you never intended for them to have a share of your property. Now, here's where it gets messy. Because no single person has full control, every heir shares ownership. So even the heirs that have never lived at the property, don't contribute to the upkeep, stop paying the taxes, they still have a say as to what happens with this property. Now, what this means is that every decision regarding this property, whether it's to keep it, to sell it, to rent it out, requires an agreement between all of these heirs. Now, what happens if they don't all agree? Like, let's say one heir wants to sell the property and another one doesn't. Or what if one of the heirs stops paying the property taxes, putting the entire home at risk? And when this happens and taxes go unpaid, the property is now vulnerable to tax foreclosure or tax sales. Now, let me give you a real life example. Let's say a grandmother who owns a home, she passes away and she has 3 children. She passed away without a will, meaning all 3 of her children inherited the property equally. Now, years go by and those 3 children pass away, but let's just say all 3 of them also had 3 children. So this deceased grandmother would have had 9 grandchildren. Now, instead of what used to be 1 owner, and then 3 owners, is now 9 owners. Let's just say some of them live out of state. Some of them aren't even aware that they're a partial owner. So when that predatory investor comes knocking and offers to buy one of those heirs' shares, that one transaction can now force the sale of the property, whether those other heirs like it or not. This is how families lose their homes and the opportunity to transfer generational wealth. So going back to those intestacy laws, if you do not have a plan, the state will make a plan for you. Then trust me, rarely does the state's plan work in your favor. This is why understanding heirs property is so crucial, because without the right strategy, your family could face significant financial, legal, and emotional risks. Now, next week, we're going to dive into the real consequences of heirs property. So from tax foreclosures, all the way down to ownership disputes. We're going to break down how this issue is tearing communities and families apart. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you next week.
Subscribe to my channel to learn more about probate real estate, financial literacy, and generational wealth planning.